Here you have the starting 11 that each team put out, with Arsenal lining up in a 4-2-3-1 formation and Atletico de Madrid in a 4-4-2.
With our individualized football development program, led by the former coach of Valencia Club de Football, Levante Unión Deportiva, and Club F Intercity, who has coached prominent players such as Ferran Torres and many other professionals, your matches will be analyzed in detail every week, highlighting your strengths and areas for improvement. You will receive personalized training sessions focused on perfecting your technique, positioning, and overall performance. Take the next step and turn your potential into a professional career.
Aspect of Arsenal against Atletico de Madrid in the Champions League match, in which right-back Timber was a constant headache for an Atletico de Madrid side that couldn't solve the problems caused by Timber, Zubimendi, and Saka on that right flank. And as a result, in the first half of the match, Arsenal not only had overwhelming control, but also dictated nearly every aspect of play, showing impressive composure and tactical awareness. They maintained possession for long stretches, moved the ball with purpose, and pressed high up the pitch, which gradually wore down an Atletico de Madrid side that struggled to keep up and was outplayed at every moment. Throughout this opening period, Arsenal delivered what could be described as a tactical masterclass, executing their manager's plan with discipline and precision. Atletico de Madrid, meanwhile, often appeared uncertain and unable to find effective ways. Point of Arsenal's dominance in the first half of this match, which took place in Tindia. In this first half, you can see that he, along with Zubimendi and Saka on this right side, caused a lot of problems for Atletico de Madrid. Why? Because when in this particular case, Tim played in the inside channel and Saka played out wide on the flank, what happened was that a space was created in the middle of the field where they always had a clear numerical advantage, because in this scenario, he would come over here. They were being marked man-to-man in this area of the pitch. Number 20 would come here, and number 8 would drop back to try to pick up Zubimendi. Here we have Atletico de Madrid's forwards, and here, when Timber moved into the inside channel, Saka played out wide. What happened then? That Saka is very good one-on-one, so Nico had to drop back to help creating freedom for these players, which caused a lot of problems for them. If in this case it was Timber who moved into the inside channel, then it was Zubimendi who would play on the outside channel. This way they always created that numerical superiority, and it was very difficult to mark because Nico didn't know whether he should move inside or stay outside. It was truly a persistent and ongoing headache throughout the entire first half of the match, constantly trying to solve that particular tactical problem. Because when Timber moved into this specific channel on the pitch, they played with what was essentially a double pivot in midfield. Rice would frequently push up higher, while Giuliano would have to drop back and provide defensive support to help out. In this particular case, Coco was always positioned with EC, Martinelli was always staying wide on the flank, and Saka, whenever Timber pushed up the field, Saka would stay deep, creating these spaces and connections between the lines. Zubimendi was always providing support from behind, giving the team a very clear and obvious numerical superiority in this area, with a player using the outside channel, the inside channel, or even the double inside channel to create numerical advantages. This tactical setup allowed the team to exploit the spaces and connections, making it very difficult for the opposition to defend effectively, as the constant movement and positional rotations created overloads in key areas of the pitch, ensuring that the team maintained control and dominance throughout the first half. The position of, in this case, EC, who was always man-marking Koke, was very specific. They were always matched up together. These players were always matched one-on-one. Therefore, whenever Koke moved to any position on the field, in this case, he would closely follow him. The ball would arrive here, and he would always go with him, always carefully man-marking him, maintaining close defensive attention throughout the play. The ball would come over here, and Coke would come over here too, so he consistently defensive man-marked. And in this case, the forward was always holding his position to try to isolate and force play down the right side. And here, in this situation, they would match up, leaving one centre-back free. They would match up, and they always marked in pairs, always went in pairs. They were always here, always working man-to-man, except for the number 6, who stayed loose to force them to play long balls. This approach required discipline and constant focus from every defender on the field. So what they were aiming for with this was to make Atletico de Madrid, the Spanish football team, play long balls instead of their usual short passing game. In this situation, The plan was to recover the ball from Atletico de Madrid's build-up, which refers to the way a team tries to move the ball forward from their own defensive area using a series of passes. The idea was that when Atletico de Madrid played to the free man, the player who was not closely marked, the pressing team would immediately apply pressure. This pressing was intended to force the ball into a specific area, making it more difficult for Atletico de Madrid to continue their controlled passing. As a result, Atletico de Madrid would be forced to attempt a long ball, which is a pass sent over a greater distance, often bypassing the midfield. These long balls are harder to control and less accurate, increasing the chance that Atletico de Madrid would lose possession. By forcing them to play this way, the pressing team hoped to disrupt Atletico de Madrid's rhythm and regain control of the ball more often. Arsenal would also drop into a mid-block, forcing Jimenez to be the one to bring the ball out, blocking this passing lane, positioning themselves in the half spaces to try to spot the free man, and letting Jimenez play. And when he played a long ball, they would intercept it, and right away push forward to finish on goal. In many plays here, he leaves two players, Eve and Timber, on the rebound and puts everyone else into the box. But the thing is, Magallanes is unmarked. So Rice sends in a good cross to this area, Magallanes is unmarked, and there are no blocks because the rest are trying to block all the other players. Here they come in, but what happens is that Magallanes makes a run, everyone comes in, and well, Magallanes simply finishes alone because all the other players have been blocking the opponent's marks. This is the moment where Simeone decides to make his substitutions in order to try to control the field a bit more and to make sure his team isn't getting too comfortable. He makes some very basic, straightforward changes, swapping player for player without altering the overall structure. He substitutes Jimenez, which is the most important change, and brings on Ruggeri, who, as you will see, becomes a key player involved in several mistakes, just like Gallagher. So, in the end, the substitutions ultimately did not work for him. What he does is push Timber out wide, positioning him on the flank to create a numerical advantage and group the opponents together in this particular area. He also brings Honduras back into the low defensive block. On the inside, he moves the left back, Lewis, into the central midfield area to try to win the ball back if they lose it, or if they do win it back, to help prevent that transition from happening. From there, since in this case, Atletico Madrid is overloaded on this side, the idea is to try to look for the outside channel to finish on goal. So in that second half, the position of the left back in the inside channel is very important, covering defensive checks to prevent the counter-attack and positioning himself in attack in the inner lane. Near the left side of the pitch, just outside the penalty area, Giuliano steps up to apply pressure, but in this situation, it's not really necessary for him to do so, as the defensive line is already in place behind him. Additionally, the pressure that Julian applies is not very strong or aggressive. He approaches Lewis with some caution, which allows Lewis to get out of the situation fairly easily. Gallagher then drives forward with the ball, moving into a wide position near the touchline, which stretches the defensive shape of the opposition. The inside lane, which is the space between the fullback and the center back, isn't closed off by the defenders. This whole sequence is a defensive mistake, as too many players are crowded inside the penalty area, leaving the flanks exposed. Zumendi recognizes this and plays the ball out to Lewis, and Giuliano steps up, leaving a space behind him that Zubimendi quickly occupies. When Giuliano steps up, the defensive structure is momentarily disrupted, creating an opportunity for the attacking team. So, what happens next in this situation? When Giuliano steps up, Llorente tries to stay very close to Martinelli, and Zubimendi carefully plays the ball into space. Now, players attack the near post, the far post, and also move into the penalty area. In this case, the players make their way onto the field, and after the cross, the ball eventually falls to the striker here, and the striker scores, and hanging in there, hoping to make a crucial connection. The anticipation built as the play developed, and this sequence highlighted the teamwork and quick reactions of the players, making it a memorable moment in the match. It's a set-piece goal in which Magallanes is matched up with Gallagher. We see the rest of the players in the 6-yard box holding their positions. Zubimendi is with Llorente. Then there's a feint, in this case by Magallanes, who moves to the far post, and a second mistake is made where the striker gets ahead of the defender, puts the ball back into the box, and in the end, the fourth goal is scored in a set-piece play of very, very high quality.